Hello, welcome or welcome back. My name is AJ Fugoth, and this is my descent into madness.
Today we're making the electric gremlin from Epithet Erased, Yoomtah Zing. Yoomtah is definitely one of my favorite characters. While she hasn't gotten a lot of screen time just yet, she'll be getting her spotlight soon enough. This is far from my first Yoomtah cosplay. I originally made Yoomtah's Season 1 outfit in January of 2022. I also have quite the collection of Yoomtah outfits. Not counting this new one, I already have 4. Generally, when I'm teaching people how to make cosplays, my first recommendation is to wait at least a year, preferably longer, before attempting to fully remake an outfit. Making other costumes, I've learned a ton of new skills and techniques, so with over 2 years between the original and now, I feel like I'm finally ready to dive back in and remake this outfit. As with anything, I start with the basics. I like to make my own patterns, so I start off by putting tape along anywhere I know I'll need a seam, hem, or dart. I then go over the tape lines with paper and chalk to make the first rough of the pattern. It's a lot easier to straighten edges and test pieces when it's paper. With my pattern perfected, I bring out the final fabric and trace my pieces onto the back of the fabric. Since I have the undershirt patterned, it's time to move to Yoomtah's suit. I patterned it the exact same way. I wanted to have the extreme shoulders that Yoomtah's suit has, so I added in some shoulder pads and adjusted the suit pattern to fit them in. Same as before, I traced my pattern pieces onto the fabric. I decided I wanted both the undershirt and the suit to be lined. Lining is when the garment has a separate piece of fabric for the inside and outside. When I work with sewing pins, I like to wear a magnetic bracelet so I don't drop any. With the fabric pinned, it's time to sew. Pinning the fabric is especially important when working with slippery fabrics like the silk. I pin together the fabric so it's less likely to slip when I'm sewing. Once I have the fabric sewn, I make sure to iron it. Ironing helps make sure everything lays nice and flat. Once everything is ironed, I use pinking shears to cut across the fabric grain so everything is less likely to fray. I don't want the shoulder pads to shift around as I move, so I sew them in. One of Yoomtah's many abilities is to change her appearance at will, like a cuttlefish. So, I took a page out of their book and added cuttlefish-like spots to Yoomtah's back in UV glow paint. Jello mentioned that the black strips on the joints of Yoomtah's outfit were actually gaps. Since it would be hard to have the sleeves floating, I decided to use a Devore fabric. The Devore fabric I used for this outfit was a silk and rayon blend. Using a chemical, I burned away the rayon, leaving just the silk behind. I decided to have some fun with it and add some designs that reference the rest of Bliss Ocean. Once I'm done, I dry the fabric off with a heat gun. And rinse it off. I still need it to be black like in the reference, so I dye it. Because it has both plant and protein-based fibers, I need to dye it twice. Good soup. I love adding details to my outfits. I decided to have some fun and add embroidery to Yoomtah. Since her favorite color is yes, I decided to go with a rainbow design. Silk is one of the easiest fibers to dye. I like getting large packs of undyed silk and then making the colors for each specific project. Since the undershirt fabric has some stretch, I add a stabilizer. Before I start working, I like to draw my design digitally. With some help from a friend of mine, Flair, we decided to make Yoomtah's embroidery themed on coreopsis and yarrow flowers. With all the planning done, it's time to start the embroidery. I like to use a stand so I don't sit like a shrimp. And then I embroider everything. I'm a big fan of having elements of my outfits tie into each other. For my Zora outfit, I had fun ice dyeing the trim, and to keep the team element going, I ice dyed the trim of my Yoomtah outfit as well. Just like with my Zora outfit, ice dyeing with Yoomtah gives a nice splotchy effect. Going into this outfit, the main thing I wanted to improve were the cybernetics. To start off, I got some boots from Goodwill and added foam to them to make them into Yoomtah's hooves. To create the basic silhouette, I used upholstery foam. I covered everything with some stretchy black fabric. To make the covers for the shoes as well as the arms, I used some 2mm EVA foam. EVA is nice because it's lightweight. I heat seal it to close all the pores so it holds paint better. While it's warm, I also heat form it to sit perfectly on my arms. Using some contact cement, I glue all the details down onto the bases. To make the hands, I got some black gloves and covered the areas where I wanted to have the cybernetics with foam clay. Foam clay is a lightweight, air-dry clay I like to use whenever I need to add details or dimension. Once the foam clay is dry, I sand it out to add wear and tear in areas where it's needed and smooth other parts out. To give Yoomtah a bit of color shift in her cybernetics, I use a silvery blue base coat. It also helps make sure the cybernetics look more believable. Once the base coat is dry, I go over it with a brighter silver. Wow, that's blinding. The paint makes a huge difference. I wanted to try my hand at making prosthetics. Using monster clay and some saran wrap, I roughed out the approximate size the cheeks needed to be. I love sculpting, however, it does look a little goofy trying to sculpt on my own face. Once I got a good enough base, I took it off and cleaned up the rough. An absolute must for me were Yoomtah's iconic lights. So, I got to soldering. I decided to use 4-pin LEDs since I thought they would look best and be easiest to control. I think if I were to redo this, I'd use LED strips instead. I made a soldered LED base for the wig and added some fiber optics so that they would blend into the hair. I then sewed everything into place. I also added a magnetic band on the top of the wig to attach pieces like the hat. To make the wig bigger and a bit more solid, I make a helmet out of polyfill and heat it into place. I glued ropes in for the twin tails. By having ropes, I can make the individual wig sections shorter, making the wig lighter, without losing any of the length of the wig. I got some neon braiding hair and glued it into sections, and started building out the fluff of the wig. Once that's in, I start adding the pink wig hair on top. I also crimp any of the hair that could use more volume or shape. When crimping, it's important to remember to brush the hair out to maximize the fluff as well as keep everything nice and orderly. I go through the entire wig, adding sections of weft.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, check the rest of my channel. A huge thanks to Whoops for all of the music in this video. I'm also doing live streams over on Whoops' channel. You can go check out their stuff over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next